فأهل الوفاء كلون السحاب وحسن الربيع.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al Ansar.
الوفاء بشتى الصور تحب الوفي الأمين الأغر فأهل الوفاء
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord, cherisher, nourisher, sustainer and master of the universe, the most gracious, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is only you that we worship and it is your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us in a straight path. Ya Allah, show us your choice of blessings. Ya Allah, show us your mercy. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salam, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 6 minutes past 8 on this beautiful Saturday morning, the 18th of May 2024, the 9th of Zulqa'dah 1445. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Rise and Shine on Radio Al Ansar with myself, Faizal, MJ, Suleman. Yes, your team this morning is Sibaniso Engineering for me, Wasima Bucks on Logistics, and of course the program is produced by Hajra Kota. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday morning. It is an undoubtedly beautiful day out there, and yes, it is the beginning of the weekend. Many of us are excited, going to be having a relaxing weekend. Some of us are working, but of course, let's enjoy what we're doing. And if we're driving, then let's maintain those following safe following distances. Yep. Let's forget road rage. Let's be a little cooperative. Let's be a little tolerant, and inshallah ta'ala, we will enjoy the journey. Well, and if you're at home and you're relaxing, then enjoy your breakfast. And of course, I hope that you are assisting in the preparation of the breakfast, not just sitting and waiting for it to be served, because the fun and enjoyment is in the preparation. Yes, it is 7 minutes past 8. And let's see what's happening around. They say that diabetes ranks amongst the top 10 causes of death. Over 80% of those affected live in low and middle income countries. Doctors Without Borders say prices of insulin must be lowered and diabetes drugs should be more accessible, as diabetes, they say, ranks amongst the top 10 causes of death. Also, there's calls for investigation into the Mshlanga Lagoon fish kill. Fish kills and distress reports at the Mshlanga Lagoon have led to concerns about pollution and more calls for a thorough investigation. Ward 35 Councillor Nicole Bowman says reports have revealed the presence of black sludge flowing from the decommissioned Mshlanga wastewater treatment works. She says they have written to the eThekwini city manager calling for accountability and clarity. Aquatic scientist and director at Ground Truth, Dr. Mark Graham, says they have carried out their own investigation. He says there were concerns over a possible link to the UPL spill during the 2021 unrest. Government underestimating strength of opposition to Bela Bill in Afrikaans community, says Solidarity. Trade Union Solidarity is concerned about how school language policy will be managed under the Bela Bill. The National Assembly on Thursday approved the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill, and the government hailed the move as a watershed moment. The bill proposes giving the Provincial Education Department the authority over a school's language policy. Amongst other things, it proposes changes to the compulsory school-going age and homeschooling. Spokesperson Dirk Herman feels the government is underestimating the strength of the feeling in the Afrikaans community. KZN social workers vow to continue sitting. The KwaZulu-Natal social workers say they will continue sleeping outside the Premier's offices until they are offered jobs. The workers have been staging a sit-in since Monday. They can't understand why they are not being hired while there is a social worker shortage in the province. The Public Servants Association says the plight of social workers has been ignored by government.
أفلح الأوفياء وحسب الوفاء يطيل العمر الحب عمرا وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غادر هنيئا لمن أخلص الحب عمرا وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غادر. أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور، أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
आपको जिंदगी का ये प्यार उम्मत की महबूब थे, प्यारे हमारे नबी, अल्लाह के आखिरी रसूल, रहमतुल आलमीन। काश मैं उनके चेहरे को देख सकूं, बस मेरी ये इल्तिजा, अब मेरी रातों की ये दुआ है, ख्वाबों में मिल जाए। आमीन। ओ प्यारे नबी, ओ प्यारे नबी, ओ प्यारे नबी, oh प्यारे नबी, peace be upon him, peace be upon him.
0609041056. Yes, that's our WhatsApp number, 0609041056, and I look forward to your inspirational messages. The first message I received says, dusting the bedsheet, very valuable information. This seems to be interesting. Sorry, something is quite long. Says that the wisdom behind dusting one's bedsheet before sleeping. Why should we? Sorry, this thing just keeps on jumping here. Why should we dust our bedsheets? This is what we're going to reveal, and here is where the scientific challenge and the conclusion by Western scientists. I'm just going to just get this on the alternate WhatsApp so that it's easier to read. Yeah, this is what happens when we need some adjustment to technology here. Okay, it says that dusting of the bedsheet, very valuable information. The wisdom behind dusting one's bedsheet before sleeping. Why should we be dusting our bedsheets? This is what we're going to reveal, and here is where the scientific challenge and the conclusion by Western scientists comes in. When someone sleeps, some dead cells die and are dropped onto the bedsheet. And whenever he wakes up, he leaves it behind, and hence it accumulates. These dead cells are invisible by the naked eyes and can hardly be destroyed. When the quantity of these dead cells increases, they easily penetrate back into the body, causing serious sickness. May Allah Ta'ala forbid. These Western science tried to destroy the cell using various disinfectants such as Dettol and others, and the like, but all in vain. The dead cells neither moved nor disappeared. One of the scientists says he tried the dusting as in the hadith 3 times, and was astonished to find that all the dead cells have disappeared. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, whoever goes to his bed, he should dust his bed 3 times because he doesn't know what was left behind. Most people think it is a way of eliminating small insects, but don't know that the issue is so much greater than that. It is very sad to find that most of us ignored such teachings of our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I think that's thank you for that message. And of course the brother continues and he talks of wudu and depression. Okay, that goes to another thing. Wudu and depression. One of the doctors revealed an amazing discovery in his speech by saying, I get the face of patients with depression washed 5 times per day, and after a few days the disease reduced. Then I get the face, hands and feet of a similar group of patients washed 5 times a day, and they healed up to a great extent. The same doctor accepts in the end of his speech that the problem of depression is less in Muslims as they wash face, hands and feet, that is during wudu, several times daily. It goes on to the virtues of wudu, saying that the heading says wudu and blood pressure. A heart specialist assures that if a patient of hypertension is asked to perform wudu and then his blood pressure is checked, his BP will be definitely lower. A Muslim psychiatrist says that the best cure for psychiatric patients lies in wudu. The Western experts get body parts of psychiatric patients washed several times like wudu. And coming on to wudu and paralysis, even the order of washing organs during wudu is beneficial. Washing of hands is the first step motivates the nervous system of the body, and then slowly effects transmit towards veins of face and brain. The order of washing hands, then mouthwash, then nose wash, then washing of remaining organs reduces the probability of paralysis. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the message. It comes from an anonymous brother, but who says, "Please, I want to remain anonymous." But I love that message. There's so many messages in there, but the idea behind it, or the message is that Islam has all the answers. Everything in Islam makes sense. Everything is logical. Everything is there for a purpose. Why is it that we have to rely on the Western research to just confirm what we've been told 1400 years ago? 0609041056, and a message comes from Sister Ruqayya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brother Faizal and the Rise and Shine team. I am not lucky. I am blessed. Everything with the dua of the Almighty Allah. Ameen. Most of all, I have. Okay, there's some emojis there. Who is taking care of me and my children, sent to me by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, every morning I get up so blessed. How much of drama in life, how much of pain I'm going through. I know someone is out there watching over me. Ameen. If you can be a pencil, write someone's happiness. Be an eraser to remove someone's sadness. May my Allah SWT bless my brother Faizal, your family, and the entire Ummah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ameen, Sister Ruqayya. Jazakallah khairah for that. A beautiful message, Sister Ruqayya. And may Allah SWT make it easy for you, and of course, bless you as well, and grant you a beautiful, beautiful weekend, inshallah ta'ala.
أخلص الحب عمرا وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غادر هنيئا لمن أخلص الحب.
WhatsApp us now on 060-904-1056.
Through the adversity and through pain, through all we've had, only one thing remains: peace and love in the midst of it all. When it arrived, it never ended part. Who al-Habib Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa sallam أعطى الهدى بكماله رفع الإسلام بجماله طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله أيها.
Message from Mrs. Rahman. Assalamu alaikum, Faisal. It is sad to watch every day that the Palestinians are going through what the Palestinians are going through. There seems to be no end and no peace for the innocent people that are living there. A mail from Gaza said that we are appealing to the whole world to please end this war. We don't want aid. We want help to end the war and for us to live in peace. Have a good day and a lovely weekend. It comes from Mrs. Rahman. So true, Mrs. Rahman. It is really and truly sad. In fact, it's traumatic. It's devastating to watch every day, their suffering and the increase in the atrocities that are committed against them. And of course, more than aid, which is temporary, they need this war ended. And inshallah ta'ala, we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, helps in ending this war, inshallah. But jazakallah khair for your message, Mrs. Rahman. And you have a wonderful weekend as well. 19 minutes past 8, and very shortly we will be taking an air break and thereafter speaking to our very first guest on the show. But let's enjoy this nasheed in the meantime.
Kawang won't start?
Can feel auto.
Noisy brakes?
Can feel auto.
Due for a service?
Can feel auto.
Kenfield Auto, the answer to all your car problems. Your service and repair specialist for your VW, Audi, Suzuki, Toyota, or just about any vehicle. Kenfield Auto, your RMI and insurance approved workshop to handle them all. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Call us on 031 207 2399. Kenfield Auto.
Call us now on 0861 904 904.
Are you or a loved one battling the disease of addiction? Is your family, life, relationships, work suffering due to alcoholism and substance abuse? Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center are addiction specialists offering specialized psychotherapy and naltrexone therapy to help overcome addiction. Zensai offers hotel-style facilities to allow your loved ones to regain their dignity and overcome alcoholism and drug abuse in the most comfortable setting possible. Fight addiction. Call Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center, the addiction recovery specialist on 031 563 0751.
اللهم احفظ المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الحاقدين اللهم أعد المسجد الأقصى إلى رحاب المسلمين اللهم وطهر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا قوي يا متين اللهم منزل الكتاب مجري السحاب هازم الأحزاب سريع الحساب اهزم اليهود وزلزلهم يا قوي يا
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور أحب الوفي الأمين.
Rise and shine on radio on Sound with myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. As we approach the upcoming elections, many of us are grappling with the important question, how do we decide who to vote for? It's a question that resonates deeply in our vibrant democracy. Today, we'll explore the essential tips to help us make an informed decision at the ballot box. We have online with us Sister Qanita Hunter. Qanita, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakallah khair for joining me in the program this morning.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Just to introduce our guest, Qanita Hunter is an award-winning journalist and political editor in South Africa. She is the author of 2 well-acclaimed books and is a political columnist. She has hosted her own podcast, and her political analysis has been featured on all major national and international news outlets. She completed a master's in journalism and is a public speaker. She is known for her efforts as a mental health activist. Now, Qanita, what are the most pressing issues facing South Africa today that voters should consider when choosing a candidate?
I think that we have to look at the upcoming vote in the context of where we are as a country, and that is the state of the economy. We just got new data out that unemployment is on the rise. Inflation is affecting food prices, the cost of living. So the economy is central to our lived experiences, and as a result, politics has a big role to play on how South Africans are exposed to an ailing economy. And so I think that in choosing who to vote for, it's important to understand what are my top 5 issues. And I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they said maybe even whittle it down to 3 issues. What are the 5 most fundamental issues for me? So I'll use myself as an example. Mm-hmm. For me, I am exceptionally interested in economic policy. So where are you in terms of the economy? Where are you in terms of foreign policy? That's an important one for me personally. And I am interested in understanding how political parties deal with the question of social cohesion. So that's like 3 things that are important to me. To another person, education. If you have children, education would be important, etc. And so trying to find parties to fit to fit into this funnel of priorities for yourself. It's also not a local government election, so while usually the stuff like potholes and refuse removal and all of those services anger a lot of us, right? This is not the election to fix it.
You alluded to service delivery, which sort of influences all of us. Many of us are mistaken that, we speak of provincial elections, we feel that that's going to sort it out. You are correct. That is not going to fix it. And that's going to happen, I think, next year.
To some degree, it does. To some degree, it obviously national government looks after looks after municipalities. We're also voting in the provincial election. A lot of mandates are provincial mandates, like hospitals, for example, are provincial mandates. Education also is a provincial competency, and so I think that does play a role. What's important then is just to understand that you're not going to find the perfect political party. So what you have to almost do is come up with deal breakers, a list of deal breakers. If X party has corrupt people, or if X party has this type of policy, like for me, I am 100% against any political party that is xenophobic. That for me is a complete deal breaker. And so I can't even listen to your other policies if you have policies that are anti-foreigner. And so I think many people in whittling down who to vote for, because remember there's 70 political parties and 11 independent candidates contesting provincially and nationally. There are 3 ballots this year. So you have the national ballot, you have the regional ballot, and you have the provincial ballot. And you can essentially split your vote between those three ballots. But what's important is to understand what is in my funnel and which political party is best fitted.
Now, why is it important for citizens to vote, even if they feel disillusioned with the current political landscape?
Voting is the basic manifestation of participatory democracy. So if you don't exercise your role to vote, it's your responsibility in a social construct that says you get freedoms, and in lieu of these freedoms, you have to participate who represents the people in government. And so it is a bare minimum. It is about not electing leaders. What we're doing is electing workers. We are electing the people who ought to serve us, public representatives. And all they are set to do is to make policies and make decisions for our good, and we need to hold them accountable. And so you have to do a moment of self-reflection to say, I voted for X party in the last election. They may not satisfied me in the last 5 years. That's not a good enough reason to say I'm opting out of voting. I think what people don't realize is that the freedoms that we enjoy, the freedoms of religion, the freedom of association, the freedom of the press, whatever it may be, is born in a democracy that was hard fought for. It didn't come cheap. There was a liberation movement that was bloody and costly. And I think we forget that when it comes to moments of elections, that there was a time where a majority of South Africans could not have a say in who their leaders are. And so I think that it is a shift from being a passive citizen to become an active citizen, to say, I choose X person to be my leader because of these reasons, to be my representative because of these reasons. And they may be voted into power, they may not, and that's the consequence of democracy. But the reality of it is that it is not a good enough reason to say, I'm not voting because nothing's going to change. That's what happens if not voting means that your life's going to get worse because there's such a level of impunity that politicians just do whatever they like because there's an electorate that doesn't care.
Now, how can voters differentiate between trustworthy news sources and misinformation during an election period? During this period, there's lots of electioneering and all sorts of information that's being disseminated.
Yeah, that's an important one, especially with social media. There's a lot being said, and I think that verification via two sources. Do not, believe everything that's forwarded to you. Go to reputable news sites, and fact check. Try to get information from two sources, especially when it comes closer to election day. There's all sorts of misinformation, all sorts of lies around. Different things, and that's what people do these days is they try to sow chaos through misinformation and disinformation. I think it is our responsibility as citizens to verify and to fact check the information that we consume, so that when we make decisions, we're making decisions from a place of empowerment.
I think that's absolutely vital because, the other problem that comes in also, what I noticed in the recent weeks is that people are just getting carried away with false promises, and people are getting carried away with familiarity as well. I mean, if my friend is standing for elections, that means I've got to vote for him, I've got to vote for his party, knowing fully well that he might not be capable, he might not get necessarily be able to achieve the results we're looking for, he might not necessarily be able to contribute, but he's just standing and I've got to vote for him. And I think that mindset needs to change. Now, having said that, what are the best ways for individuals to get involved in their communities to better understand the impact of political decisions?
I think that the residents of Durban learned it more than any other community when it came to the 2021 July unrest, that you cannot sit back and just fold your hands and let things be. And the idea of being politically active is not, nobody's saying go for political rallies and join political parties, but it is your local school, understanding who are the kids in those schools that come to school hungry, and what can we do to because all of that is interrelated into the world that we live in. We can't live in these pockets of privilege. So on one element, it's holding your ward councillor accountable. On the second element is participating in forums like your CPFs. But I think on the third is the more personal, is identifying an area that you can play a part in your community, and then doing what's possible in that regard, and being mindful about how decisions affect you. When you go to affluent, previously white-only areas, these people are fully engaged and hold their councillors fully accountable, and then get good service delivery. And I had this conversation with someone living in Franschhoek yesterday, and she says, the ward councillor is aware of every single thing, and it's an active participation of understanding, all right, if there's no electricity, what does that mean? Coming together as a community, organizing in streets, organizing. And I know that certain communities where they've been tested with issues of no water and no electricity for prolonged periods have been, forming groups, etc. But that has to be proactive long beyond when there are issues and when there are crises, so that when there are crises, then it can withstand that, and people are united and people can work together.
Absolutely. I think it's very, very vital and very important what you've just mentioned, that people need to unite, people need to work together, because we can't work at cross purposes. We will not achieve what we're out there to achieve. Now, when we chatted earlier this morning, you spoke of service delivery, and you also mentioned that, the change, or rather whoever we vote for right now, would not necessarily mean that our local councils, etc., are being changed. That's going to happen later. Now, right now, people, they're influenced by service delivery. I mean, if you look at the eThekwini municipality where we are right now, we've got all sorts of problems. Water, electricity, potholes, you name it, it's there. And many of us are on the mistaken belief that post-election, all this is going to be addressed. Do you want to just touch on that for us a little, because that's what seemed to be influencing many of us as well, and may not necessarily be correct.
Yeah, I think like when it comes to a situation like eThekwini, because it's a political party that's also in national government, I think that there's some interconnection, and there's also what happens on a provincial level also contributes to what happens on a municipal level. So yes, there may not be an overnight, we vote this particular party out, and then the potholes will be fixed, because it doesn't work like that. But at least there would be an effort because ex-political party has been in office for this many years, and the situation has deteriorated. And the fact that they witnessed the deterioration of eThekwini and sort of didn't intervene, for me, is enough reason to say, okay, let's put them on terms. And so the idea here is to create a culture of participation and seeking accountability in a way that you don't only wait for when Durban is falling apart, because now the leaders have so much of impunity and they can get away with so much because nobody held them accountable in the good times, if quote unquote. And so the idea is understand what spending budgets are in a city. Use this election as a catalyst to say, I'm going to get involved. And getting involved means coming together in whatever way, whether it's for you, it's just maintaining one particular road, making sure that one road is clean. For another person, it is, feeding an orphanage. For another person, but it's that understanding that the future of South Africa is me and you, and our determination on whether or not we want it to work. And so when we talk about who will rule South Africa is me and you, because the people who are elected come and go in 5 years. Those are people we can remove at any time. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that we're not looking for heroes, we're looking for workers. If you were building a house and you hired an electrician, you'd not leave the house empty and walk away for 5 years and then come 5 years later and find the house completely destroyed. And then at that time say, well, it's too late. I can't appoint another electrician. Mm-hmm. No, you have to rebuild the house. Absolutely. And that includes, hiring a new artisan. And so that, I think, is the simplest of ways for me to explain to the audience this morning about why it is that we need to look at voting as the bare minimum role that you play in a participatory democracy whose benefits we enjoy every single day.
Konita Hunter, Jazakallah khair for joining me in the program this morning. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for, but I think, a moment for you to share your message with the people.
I simply want to say to listeners of Al Ansar that the future of the country is really determined by me and you. And it seems a lot, it seems big, it seems like we can't do much. But if we all take a step, as we did in the time of crisis, do it now, I think that the consequences will be much better. And we have to envision and live the future that we want to have for our children. And I think that it's an ideal that's not impossible.
Jazakallah khair for joining me in the program this morning. Enjoy the rest of the day, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
We spoke to Konita Hunter, and she spoke to us about how to decide who to vote for. And of course, it is a difficult choice because there's lots we need to take into consideration. But of course, she provided the necessary guidelines, and we're thankful to her. Message comes from Brother Yusuf Patel. Silence is not always golden. It can be very loud at times. Tell your dear ones you love them. Life is so fragile. There are no guarantees. There is no set amount of time that our loved ones will be there for us. Check up on your loved ones regularly. Ask them if they're okay. Listen to what they tell you and support them to get the help they need. Tell them you love them today. The ugly world is forever ready to devour their innocence. This comes from Yusuf Patel. And of course, Brother Yusuf Patel sends us a second message as well. Says, dignity is obtained by donating, not by accumulating wealth. The clouds who give away water stand high, whereas the seas who just gather it stay low. Life is so much simpler when you stop explaining yourself to people and just do what works for you. Yusuf Patel, Jazakallah khair, Brother Yusuf. Shukran for those messages. Always very, very inspiring. We've got like a minute to the ad break, but I'm going to read one more WhatsApp message that came through from Sister Leila Meta. Says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the esteemed Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Peace, blessings and salutations be upon Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, another blessed day. Humble from sujood. Death teaches us great lessons on how we should live. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant ease, protection and barakah to the Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen. Have a blessed weekend. Salams and dua. Sister Leila Meta. Inspiring reflections. The graveyards are a strong reminder that the dunya is temporary. And the hadith says, Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah, narrated by Hafsa radiallahu anha. Mu'mineen, when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to go to sleep, he put his right hand under his cheek and would then say 3 times, O Allah, grant me from thy punishment on the day when thou raises up thy servants. Jazakallah khair for that WhatsApp message. We're going to visit the marketplace, and on the other side of this, we're going to be speaking to Dr. Atiya Mosam, and she'll be addressing the controversial NHI bill and how it will work.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031-208-9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
This and only this is Nightline. Nightline is the only program that allows you to listen to the opportunity to voice your opinion on any matter or any topic that concerns you. Also on Nightline, we interview the famous, the not so famous, and infamous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Brother Muhammad Varyawa, and with me in the studio is Dr. Anwar Jiwa. Join us every Saturday night from 8:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. on Nightline, the program designed especially for you, the listener.
Are you looking for the ultimate in exclusive, luxurious living in Westville's most sought-after location? Kingsford Estate in Kings Avenue, Westville is an upmarket, secure, gated property development where every deal is crafted for elegance and sophistication. Homes priced from 3,995,000 Rand with spacious designer interiors. This is where dreams become reality. Contact us by calling 082-457-5976 or visit www.kingsford.co.za.
Join Radio Al Ansar at the King Farm Agricultural Fair. 2 days of unforgettable fun for the family. Delicious treats, entertainment, loads of stalls, and fun for the kids. And you get to view premium livestock too. Entrance is free, so come down May 18th and 19th and meet the team. 10 Georgedale Road, Cato Ridge, King's Farm Agricultural Fair. See you there.
أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر.
Rise and shine on Radio Al-Ansar with myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially signed the controversial NHI bill into law. While some are welcoming the move, many are concerned, but it will be years before we see the implementation. We have online with us Dr. Atiya Mosam, an independent public health medicine specialist. Atiya has 12 years of experience in health system strengthening initiatives, from national policy development to health management and implementation of interventions, with special focus on primary healthcare initiatives such as CHW programs and telehealth for NCDs. She also holds an interest in healthcare financing and economics, health promotion and prevention for non-communicable diseases, and human resources for health. Dr. Atiya Mosam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Jazakallah khair for joining me in the program this morning.
Walaikum salam, and thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, what are the most significant advantages that the NHI could bring to our healthcare system and the general population? I think let's just go one step back before we attack that question. Can you very briefly just describe what, or explain to our listeners what is the NHI bill?
Okay, sure. So I'm sure anyone who's been following this will have noticed that the politicians and the healthcare leaders have said that the NHI is the mechanism for South Africa to achieve universal health coverage. So universal health coverage is a sustainable development goal by the United Nations that many countries across the globe have signed on to. And what it really means is that countries are trying to achieve good quality care for everyone. So in different countries obviously have different contexts, and they are different places within their health system development. The NHI is South Africa's mechanism of being able to give people good quality care for everyone that you don't need to pay for and that you can access when you need it. So the bill really is, and we'll get into, I think, some of the specifics just now, but the bill really is a way of changing not only the way healthcare is financed in this country and paid for in this country, but also the way that the health system functions. So you can't change, something quite significant like the way a system is financed without actually changing the mechanisms. So that is really what the NHI is aiming to achieve. It is a move towards improving the equity in South Africa. And we know our country is one of the most inequitous countries in the world.
Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, I come back to a question I posed earlier. What are the most significant advantages that the NHI could bring to our healthcare system and the general population?
Okay, sure. So, as I said, we're aiming to achieve good quality care for everyone, regardless of your ability to pay. Now, if we look at our current health system, in the public sector, we know that technically the public sector is for everyone, but you may not get good quality care, or you may not get care at all because it is overcrowded, they don't have enough resources. And so that's the challenges that they face. In the private sector, on the other hand, your ability to actually use the private sector depends on your ability to pay. And so anyone who has a medical aid or even uses their own money out of their pocket will know that what you can get from your doctor or from the pharmacy, etc., depends on the money you have. Similarly, sometimes we think that because we pay more, we get good quality service. And not to say that the private sector doesn't give good quality service, but we actually sometimes don't know because we don't measure it. So the benefit of the NHI really is, firstly, we're going to try and address all of these challenges by bringing everyone under one system. So what that will do effectively, it will shift the two systems together and allow people to access care from either the public or the private sector. Now, I just want to clarify, because I think people think that this means you can just walk into a Netcare hospital, if you have a headache, but they still will be the same way. If you have a medical aid, the medical aid says you need to go here to get this. There will still be some regulations around when you can access care and where, but by and large, the system will be open to everyone. Secondly, the benefit is then that people won't have to pay. So you will be paying through your general taxation, but you won't be paying at your point of service. Lots of people in our country go to GPs and they pay out of pocket because sometimes medical aids don't cover that. So that is another benefit for patients in themselves, that they will be protected financially. And if, Allah forbid, something serious happens to you, you have access to care that you won't have to pay hundreds of thousands of rands for, which we've seen people having to raise money to get operations. So that is what we are trying to achieve for the entirety of the country, and not just for people who are able to afford medical aid.
So what happens to the, those that have private medical aids, those that can afford private healthcare, etc.? Are they now precluded from accessing this particular healthcare?
No. So this will be, again, the same way the public sector right now is focused on everyone. That means everyone will be able to access the NHI. What the NHI is going to do is it is going to limit what you can access privately, because the thinking is that the system as a whole should provide the same for everyone equally. And so again, it shouldn't be according to your ability to pay. So, I think people think that, tomorrow we're going to wake up and then you can't access your medical aid. That's not the case. It's going to be a phased decrease of what you can get via medical aid and a phased increase in what you can get from the public sector until the two meet in the middle. Then there may be some things that the public sector says they can't pay for. For example, you've heard them say cosmetic surgery. That is not sometimes a pure need. And so the NHI might not pay for that. But if you want to go do it, then medical aids and the private sector can perform that for you.
Thank you for that clarification. Now, can you elaborate on the primary objections and worries that have been voiced by those opposed to the NHI?
Sure. So I think the first one, and anyone who's read anything would have seen it, is the risk of fraud and corruption. And this is a real threat in our country. We know in general, we have, risks around fraud, whether it's people not, paying SARS, all the way to, the digital vibes, fraud that happened during COVID. So there definitely is a real risk in the country, and it's a fair concern by everyone. that shouldn't, although, preclude us from trying to do something for the citizens. And so, there have been measures put into place, and there will be measures put into place. So the NHI branch currently has already started looking into this. They have a fraud and risk division. They have legal experts within this division who are trying to look at the system in its entirety, figure out where the gaps may be, and try and address them. Of course, sometimes only when you're in practice can you actually design or amend something. And so we will discover loopholes in the system as we go along, and hopefully those will be then addressed.
And from
the second big one, sorry?
No, continue, sorry. You can continue.
So the second big one, I think, is people's concern with how. Because, a bill will tell you some of the basics of it, but it doesn't actually tell you how this is going to be implemented. So there is a concern about how will this implemented? How will it affect me? And again, people think, we're going to wake up tomorrow and there will be a huge change in the system. But I want to just say two things related to that. The one is that signing of the bill is just one part of the process. There has to be an entire legal process after this. So there will be regulations that will be stipulated that will tell you how the NHI bill will be implemented. There will be changes to other acts. So all of that needs to be put into place from a legal framework in order for this to be implemented. And then the second thing is around, we have to do the thinking. And as you said in your intro, it's going to take a long time because it takes a long time to change the system. And we have currently the NHI branch, as well as, international partners, have economists and public health medicine specialists and lawyers, etc., all working on the components of the system that need to change. So it will take some time. There's a lot of thinking. There will be a lot of trial and error. But we will slowly move towards where we need to be as a country.
And from a medical professional's perspective, what changes and impacts do you foresee the NHI having on doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers?
So I think, medical professionals are concerned, and I think rightly so in many ways, because the way that we have been practicing medicine or practicing healthcare is going to be changed in many ways. And not to say that this is a bad thing. This is a good thing for the country in the way we practice. So for medical professionals, the main change will be that there is now going to be a change in the way that they are paid. Currently, again, if you've gone to any private facility, you'll know that your doctor will charge, or the hospital will charge you for every small thing that is done. You pay differently for x-rays versus the doctor versus the stay in hospital. So the change in the way that everyone is going to be paid will be in effect, so that we can try and some way improve the costs or how expensive medical care is at the moment. And then the second is that clinicians will have to focus more on quality. So like I said, now in the public sector, there's no real budget. There is a budget, but, doctors don't really know, or clinicians don't really know the cost of what it is that they are doing. The only time they know that, something is, they can't do it because there isn't that resource any longer. They say it's not available. And in the private sector, again, you allowed, based on what the medical aid allows you, you're allowed to just prescribe what you like, do whichever interventions you like. And sometimes those are not necessary or not cost effective. And so there's going to be a focus on the cost, but also on the outcomes of these interventions. So, medical doctors or clinicians are going to be looked at in terms of, are they producing the good health outcomes for what it is that they are doing? So I think that is the main concern around from many doctors, and that's going to be the main impact on them. But again, it's going to take some time for that to evolve. And I do encourage any of my colleagues out there who have questions to approach public health specialists like myself, who may be able to help them think through the impacts on their practice itself.
Unfortunately, time's against us, but what practical advice would you give to patients to help them prepare for the changes brought by the NHI?
So right now, I don't think there is much for patients to do. It is right now in the, design phase, and we're trying to figure out exactly what the mechanisms are. But I will say that, and this is sort of general advice for patients, is that if they are, if you see that they are testing certain, pilots in your vicinity, if there are community meetings, please go and attend, have yourself heard, so that when the designing is happening, these considerations at the community level are taken into account. Right now, there isn't, much from a accessing healthcare point of view that patients need to do until, we start registering patients, etc. But it is always helpful for the health system when patients do make and communities make their voices heard.
Dr. Acha Mosam, thank you very much for joining me on the program this morning. We will talk to you again as this